Welcome back to my channel. This is Demon Slayer 33 and I'm here to do part 5 to the spirit of truth. And this is titled, Why is the spirit of truth so important? So let's begin. But when the spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all the truth. He will not speak on his own. He will speak only what he hears, and he will tell you what is yet to come. John 16:13. It is difficult for us to even imagine, isn't it? These men and women had been with Jesus from the beginning, spent countless hours walking together, spending nights in who knows where type of places. They watched in awe as he performed miracle after miracle, healing after healing. They knew he was special. Eventually, they also knew he was the Messiah, the chosen one, the Son of God. Jesus was forever teaching them, helping them, guiding them, and yet they also watched that he challenged, no, confronted it more like it. The religious leaders of the day, who he stood up to them, defiled them, and those who challenged didn't like it. His disciples knew it was a dangerous game, and they feared for him, only for themselves. They feared the worst, and the worst came to pass. Ooh, what would they do then? What would happen next? What did the future hold? More than once he told them that he was going to be leaving them soon, knowing their doubts and fears, as he always does. Jesus reassured them he would not leave them alone. He would leave them with an advocate, a counselor. John 14:25-27. And he gave them an inkling into what the advocate is and what he will do. When the advocate comes, whom I will send to you from the Father, the Spirit of truth who goes out from the Father, he will testify by me, and you also must testify, for you have been with me from the beginning. John 15:26-27. Why is the Spirit of truth significant? The Bible is so much more than just words written on a page. It is more than what the words seem to mean in whatever language or translation version we happen to be reading. It is far more than a list of do's and don'ts, rules and regulations, or rites and rituals. Yet so many of us have failed at some point to move to the next level of understanding. Often the disciples themselves did not understand the teachings found in Jesus' words. They asked him why he taught in parables. Matthew 13:11-13. But despite their lack of understanding, Jesus did not leave them without a hope to eventually understand the spiritual intent of Jesus' words. John 14:16-21, 16:12-15. I have more to say to you, more than you can now bear. Jesus knew the disciples would be unable to understand the spiritual meaning, the spiritual truth of his words at that moment. When they were doing the rituals. The Holy Spirit was with them, but not yet in them. See, John 14:17. Thus they were hearing the words, but were not yet able to grasp a full understanding. It will not be until they receive the Holy Spirit at Pentecost, after Christ's death and restoration, Acts 2:4, that they will have the power to begin to understand the truth of who Christ is and the full spiritual meaning of his teachings. And boy, how it changed them. The spirit of truth is revealed to us. In his letter to the Corinthians, Paul referred to these two levels of understanding: mind versus heart, human understanding versus spiritual understanding, born of the flesh versus taught by the Spirit of God. See? Now we declare God's wisdom, a mystery that had been hidden and that God destined for our glory before time began. None of the rulers of this age understood it, for if they had, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. However, as it is written, what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things God has prepared for those who love him. These are the things God has revealed to us by his Spirit. The Spirit searches all things, even the deep things of God. For who knows a person's thoughts except their own spirit within them? In the same way, no one knows the thoughts of God except the Spirit of God. What we have received is not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit who is from God, so that we may understand what God has freely given us. This is what we speak, not in words taught us by human wisdom, but in words taught by the Spirit, explaining spiritual realities with Spirit-taught words. 1 Corinthians 2:7-13. 1. God's wisdom is a mystery, which none of the rulers of this age understood. 2. Wisdom. No eye has seen or ears have heard, and no human mind has conceived the things God has prepared for those who love Him. 3. These are things that God has revealed to us by the Spirit. Clearly, we can possess human knowledge, math, and the sciences, and the like, but there is knowledge we humans are not capable of knowing or discerning without the help of the Spirit. That same knowledge which God reveals to those who give themselves to Jesus, those who called by His Spirit. God's Holy Spirit is the Spirit of truth. He guides us so that God's wisdom can travel the 12 inches from our heads to our hearts. Just as the spirit of the world enables us to understand the things of the world, so God's Spirit helps us understand the spiritual truths of God. See? It's two gods, one on this earth and one that's in the spiritual realms. The person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, but consider them foolishness, and cannot understand them because they are discerned only through the Spirit. Okay? No one who does not have the Spirit of truth living within them can begin to understand the spiritual truths of God. See what I'm telling y'all? They are considered foolishness to them. Jesus knew His words would fall on many deaf ears. It was not His intent that the multitudes would understand the spiritual meaning of His teachings. Yet so, when the disciples asked, "Why do you speak in parables?" Jesus answered with the truth. He replied, "Because the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them." Matt, that's to me, okay, whatever, or to Shanice, whoever. Matthew 13:11, or me to my kids, grandkids and stuff. And then Jesus said to this, "But God had blessed you. You understand what you see with your eyes, and you understand what you hear with your ears." What does this mean? What does this mean? Will we have all the answers? Of course not. But the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth, enables this understanding within us so that we can begin to comprehend and appreciate things beyond the physical world we see, know, and understand the truth. And the truth will set us free. John 8:32. That is part 5.